Welcome, gentle listener, to another episode of Sleepy Tech Stories. Tonight, as you settle in and let the day's worries drift away, I invite you to close your eyes, slow your breathing, and imagine yourself in a world where the most powerful forces are not thunderous or dramatic, but quiet, persistent, and almost invisible. Tonight's journey will take us through the subtle, often overlooked corners of technology, the places where a single misplaced comma, a forgotten semicolon, or a tiny typo can ripple outwards, quietly threatening the very fabric of the internet. We begin, as so many stories do, in the 1990s, a time when the internet was young, and the people who kept it running lived in a world of endless code, blinking lights, and ever-present anxiety. Let your mind wander through the surprisingly dull, detail-obsessed world of cybersecurity, where the smallest mistakes can have the biggest consequences. The monitor in front of you glows with lines upon lines of code, each character precise, each symbol essential. Every morning you arrive before the sun, greeted by the gentle hum of machines that never sleep. There is a comfort in the routine, a rhythm to the maintenance, tasks, backups, updates, permissions, patches. Yet, beneath the surface, there is a constant, low-level anxiety. The systems you manage are fragile, interconnected in ways that are both elegant and precarious. You know that somewhere in this line, a tiny error is hiding, a missing semicolon, an extra space, a lowercase letter where there should be an uppercase. You know that most people will never understand the work you do. The quiet pressure of responsibility, the satisfaction of a system running smoothly. But you also know that without you, the digital world would grind to a halt, undone by the smallest of errors. You read the line again and again, letting your eyes blur, hoping that the mistake will reveal itself. You find comfort in the repetition, in the knowledge that your vigilance keeps the world connected, even if no one ever notices. The room is silent, save for the soft ticking of the wall clock and the distant hum of the building's air conditioning. You think of all the other sysadmins scattered across the world, each one tending to their own flock of servers, each one living in this world of quiet anxiety and careful precision. You are part of an invisible community, bound together by the shared experience of late nights, long hours, and the ever-present threat of disaster. A single misplaced comma, a forgotten bracket, could bring everything crashing down. But for now, in this moment, you are at peace, surrounded by the soft glow of monitors and the comforting rhythm of a world held together by attention to detail. You check the logs, searching for anomalous, strange login attempts, unexplained errors, the digital equivalent of a creaking floorboard in an old house. The quiet panic when a critical server went down, the scramble to restore from backup tapes, the silent prayers that the last backup was recent enough. There are no dramatic outbursts here, just the steady, methodical work of diagnosis and repair. You learn to move slowly, to double-check every command, to never trust a change until you've tested it twice. You sip your coffee, eyes scanning for anything out of place, knowing that a single missed warning could mean hours or even days of painstaking recovery. The world outside is moving quickly. Cell phones are shrinking. The World Wide Web is expanding. And somewhere, someone is inventing a new way to send an email. But here, in this room, time seems to slow down, measured not in minutes or hours, but in lines of code and server logs. There are no explosions here, no chase scenes, no dramatic music. A monochrome terminal window, a blinking cursor, a stack of floppy disks labeled in careful handwriting. There are no flashy graphics, no intuitive interfaces, just raw text and the knowledge that every character matters. You develop a kind of sixth sense for syntax, a muscle memory for the commands that keep the system alive. Just the soft hum of servers, the gentle glow of monitors, and the steady, rhythmic tapping of keys. So, as you nestle into your pillow, let the gentle current of this story carry you through the quiet corridors of tech history. Why it sucked to be a 90s sysadmin. Imagine yourself in a softly lit room, somewhere in the mid-1990s. The air is cool, tinged with the faint scent of plastic and ozone, the byproducts of humming machines. The only sounds are the low whir of cooling fans and the gentle, persistent clicking of a keyboard. You are a system administrator, sysadmin responsible for keeping the digital world running smoothly. Your desk is cluttered with thick manuals, half-empty mugs of coffee, and a tangle of cables. Being a sysadmin in the 90s is a study in vigilance. The work is repetitive, almost meditative. You type commands, one after another, each keystroke deliberate. You remember the stories colleagues who spent entire weekends in the server room, coaxing crashed systems back to life. The tools of your trade are simple, almost austere. Sometimes, late at night, you find yourself staring at a single line of code, the cursor blinking patiently. Outside, the world is sleeping. Inside, you are the silent guardian of the network, the unseen caretaker of data and connections. There is a peculiar beauty in this work, a kind of quiet heroism in the attention to detail, the patience, the willingness to spend hours chasing down a single misplaced character. As you lean back in your chair, stretching tired muscles, you let your mind wander. And as you close your eyes for a moment, letting the gentle hum of the machines lull you into a state of calm, you know that tomorrow will bring more of the same, more code, more logs, more quiet vigilance. The biography of Robert Tappan Morris. Imagine yourself drifting back to the late 1980s, a time when the internet was not yet a household word, but a quiet, academic network, humming softly beneath the surface of daily life. Picture him, thoughtful, reserved, moving through the corridors of Cornell University with a quiet intensity. His father, Robert Morris Sr., is a respected computer scientist at Bell Labs, and the younger Morris has grown up surrounded by the gentle clatter of keyboards and the soft glow of CRT monitors. Instead, he is drawn to the question, how secure is the internet, really? The code is simple, almost elegant, a series of instructions that tell the worm to copy itself, to seek out new hosts, to report back to its creator. Morris is careful, methodical, testing each line, double-checking each command. He adds a feature to prevent the worm from infecting the same machine more than once, a small safeguard against runaway replication. How easily could a program move from one machine to another, unnoticed? A misplaced comma, a misjudged probability, a single line of logic that does not behave as expected. He becomes the first person convicted under the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, a quiet milestone in the history of cybersecurity. He is sentenced to probation, community service, and a fina gentle, measured response to a mistake born of curiosity rather than malice. He is not a villain nor a hero, but something quieter and more familiar, a person who made a mistake, learned from it, and continued on, shaped by the experience, but not defined by it. But in the quiet offices and labs of universities across the country, sysadmins begin to notice something strange. The worm becomes a footnote in his biography, a reminder of the power of small errors and the importance of careful, deliberate work. Their machines slow to a crawl, their networks become sluggish, and the familiar routines of daily maintenance are disrupted by an invisible, relentless force. It is a story that echoes through the halls of every server room, every quiet office, every place where people tend to the fragile, interconnected world of technology. Instead, there are long hours spent analyzing logs, tracing the worm's path, and slowly, methodically, restoring systems to normal. Maurice is eventually identified, not through a dramatic chase, but through the careful, patient work of investigators piecing together clues. But with a whisper, single line of code, a quiet question, a moment of curiosity in the stillness of the night. In Maurice's worm, a tiny error causes the program to replicate far more aggressively than intended. He tries to send out warnings to help others stop the worm, but the network is already overwhelmed. The code, once released, cannot be called back. It moves silently, methodically, from machine to machine, a testament to the power of small mistakes. Instead of quietly measuring the network, the worm begins to spread uncontrollably, overwhelming machines, clogging networks, and bringing parts of the early internet to a standstill. It is a question born of academic interest, the kind of idle wondering that fills the quiet hours of the night. The world of computers is not just his field of study, it is the air he breathes, the language he speaks. The world is quieter, the digital landscape smaller, and the people who shape it are few, their names mostly unknown outside university halls and research labs. Among them is a young man named Robert Tappan Morris. The network, still in its infancy, is a patchwork of university computers and government systems, connected by fragile threads of code and trust. There are no firewalls, no antivirus programs, no security teams, just a handful of sysadmins, each tending to their own corner of the digital garden. Robert is not a rebel, nor a thrill seeker. He is, in many ways, the embodiment of the careful, detail-oriented mindset that defines early computer science. He spends long hours in the computer lab, the room filled with the faint scent of warm electronics and the low, steady hum of mainframes. He is methodical, precise, and quietly curious, always seeking to understand the hidden workings of the systems around him. It is in this atmosphere of quiet inquiry that Maurice begins to wonder about the security of the internet. Maurice's curiosity is not malicious. He is not seeking to cause harm or chaos. And so, in the autumn of 1988, Maurice begins to write a small programmer worm, designed to spread quietly from computer to computer, measuring the size of the internet. But in the world of code, even the smallest mistake can have outsized consequences. The world outside remains largely unaware. There are no headlines, no breaking news alerts. Maurice, realizing what has happened, is filled not with excitement or pride, but with a quiet, sinking dread. In the aftermath, there is no dramatic confrontation, no villain unmasked. The consequences for Maurice are significant, but not sensational. In the years that follow, Maurice moves on. He earns his PhD, becomes a respected professor at MIT, and continues to work quietly in the world of computer science. As you let your mind drift, imagine Maurice in his office, surrounded by books and papers, the soft glow of a monitor illuminating his thoughtful face. The story of Robert Tappan Morris is not one of drama or excitement, but of quiet curiosity, careful work and the gentle, persistent consequences of small errors. And as you listen, perhaps you find comfort in the knowledge that even the most significant events in tech history often begin not with a bang. The mystery of the Y2K bug. Imagine yourself now in the gentle twilight of the 1990s, a time when the world is quietly preparing to cross the threshold into a new millennium. The air is filled with a sense of anticipation, but also a subtle, persistent anxiety, a background hum, like the faint whir of a computer's cooling fan. The world is connected as never before, yet beneath the surface, a simple, almost boring problem is quietly threatening to unravel the digital fabric of modern life. You are surrounded by the soft glow of CRT monitors, the gentle clicking of keyboards, and the quiet murmur of conversation in offices and server rooms around the globe. For decades, programmers have saved precious memory by representing years with just 2 digits. 1985 becomes 85. 1999 is simply 99. It is a choice made in the spirit of efficiency. A tiny shortcut repeated millions of times in millions of lines of code across countless systems. The only light comes from your monitor, casting a soft glow across your desk. You sip lukewarm coffee, the taste familiar and grounding. But in the server rooms and offices where the real work is being done, the mood is calm, almost detached. The people who understand the problem best know that it is not a monster lurking in the shadows, but a puzzle to be solved, one line of code at a time. The air is filled with the faint scent of paper and plastic, the quiet ticking of a wall clock marking the passage of time. This is the story of the Y2K bug, a mystery not of malice or sabotage, but of oversight and the slow, steady accumulation of small decisions. The world moves on, the headlines fade, and the people who spent months, even years, preparing for this moment return to their routines. The Y2K bug becomes a story told in hushed tones, a reminder of the power of small details, and that sometimes the greatest victories are the ones that pass unnoticed in the quiet hours of the night, and the quiet heroism of those who tend to the world's invisible infrastructure. In government buildings, banks, hospitals, and power plants, teams of programmers and engineers are quietly, patiently, searching for the hidden places where the Y2K bug might lurk. But by patience, diligence, and the steady, comforting rhythm of careful work, the world is a little safer, a little more stable, thanks to the quiet efforts of people like you. They write scripts to scan for date fields. They test and retest. They patch and update. You and thousands like you have done all you can. The systems have been checked, the code has been patched, the backups have been made. There is nothing left to do but wait. And then, quietly, life goes on. The lights stay on, the computers keep running, the world does not end. The Y2K bug, so feared and so carefully prepared for, passes into history as a near miss. A problem solved not by heroics, but by the quiet, persistent work of thousands of people whose names will never be known. The work is repetitive, but there is a quiet satisfaction in each small victory, a line of code corrected, a system tested and found safe. But in quiet offices and control rooms, a different kind of vigil is being kept. You watch the clock, the seconds ticking down to midnight. The room is filled with a gentle tension, a sense of anticipation that is almost soothing in its familiarity. What will happen when the clock strikes midnight and 99 becomes 00? Will computers interpret the new year as 1900 instead of 2000? Will calculations fail, records vanish, or systems simply stop working? The questions are not dramatic, but they are persistent, echoing through boardrooms, government offices, and the quiet corners of IT departments everywhere. As the year 2000 approaches, a quiet realization begins to dawn. Imagine yourself as one of the many unsung heroes of this era: programmer, a systems analyst, a quiet caretaker of code. Your days are filled with the gentle repetition of searching, checking, and correcting. You comb through old programs, your eyes scanning for those two-digit years, your fingers moving steadily across the keyboard. The work is slow, methodical, almost meditative. There is no rush, no panic, just the steady, comforting rhythm of progress. You work late into the night, the world outside growing still and dark. All around the world, others are doing the same. The media, meanwhile, begins to take notice. Headlines warn of possible chaos, planes grounded, power grids failing, bank accounts erased. As the final days of 1999 approach, the world holds its breath. Imagine yourself on New Year's Eve, 1999. The world is celebrating. Fireworks lighting up the night sky, music and laughter drifting through the air. Midnight arrives, the clocks roll over. For a moment, there is silence, a pause, as if the world itself is holding its breath. In the days that follow, there is a gentle sense of relief, a quiet pride in a job well done. As you let your mind drift, imagine the gentle satisfaction of a problem solved, a crisis averted, not by drama or excitement. And as the new millennium unfolds, the lessons of the Y2K bug linger, reminder that even the most boring problems can have the biggest consequences. The contrasts of Silicon Valley security chiefs. Now, let your mind drift forward into the present day. The world of technology has grown vast and intricate, its networks stretching across continents, its data flowing silently through fiber optic veins beneath city streets and rolling hills. There is a gentle hum of air conditioning, the faint scent of fresh coffee, and the subtle glow of multiple monitors displaying shifting patterns of data. The world outside is bustling, but here, in this space, there is a sense of calm, a quiet focus. There are invitations to exclusive conferences, where the world's top security minds gather to share insights and strategies. The responsibility is immense, and the stakes are high. The work is not dramatic, but it is relentless. There is a comfort in the repetition, a sense of order in the daily rituals. Yet, there is also a quiet anxiety, a knowledge that the next challenge is always just over the horizon. A single mistake, a missed alert, a misconfigured firewall, a forgotten update can have consequences that ripple outward, affecting millions of people. There is a sense of camaraderie, a shared understanding of the importance of the work. The security chief must stay informed, always learning, always adapting, but of patience, diligence, and the gentle, persistent effort of people who care deeply about the details. It is a story of contrasts, of high stakes and quiet routines, of immense challenges and simple daily victories. There are conferences to attend, papers to read, and quiet conversations with peers in other companies. The work is never finished, the learning never complete. Together, they form a quiet, invisible shield, protecting the company from threats that most people will never see. Late at night, when the office is empty and the city outside is sleeping, the security chief sits at their desk, the soft glow of the monitors casting gentle shadows on the walls. In these moments, there is a sense of peace, recognition that, for now, the systems are secure, the data is safe, and the world is quietly turning. You are part of a long tradition, stretching back to the sysadmins of the 90s, the programmers who fixed the Y2K bug, and the curious minds who shaped the early internet. Your work is often invisible, your victories unnoticed, but the world is safer because of your quiet vigilance. The security chief must be vigilant, always watching, always anticipating, always prepared for the unexpected. The security chief is both a guardian and a caretaker, a strategist and a technician, moving calmly through a world of constant change. There are moments of quiet satisfaction when a potential threat is detected and neutralized before it can do harm. The quiet, solitary sysadmins of the past have given way to teams of specialists. And at the top of these teams sit the security chiefs, the guardians of the digital realm. There is a certain comfort in the routine, reviewing threat assessments, approving security protocols, and quietly monitoring the health of the company's digital infrastructure. Yet, beneath the surface, there is a constant awareness of risk, knowledge that at any moment, a single overlooked detail could become a crisis. Imagine yourself in the softly lit office of a Silicon Valley security chief. The room is modern, yet understated. The security chief's days are filled with meetings, reports, and the steady rhythm of decision-making. The perks of the role are many. There are generous salaries, well-appointed offices, and the quiet prestige that comes from being trusted with the company's most sensitive secrets. But there are pressures, too, woven gently into the fabric of daily life. Imagine the gentle tension of this existence. Each morning begins with a review of the night's activity, logs to scan, alerts to assess, patterns to interpret. The security chief is surrounded by a team of expert analysts, engineers, incident responders, each one tending to their own corner of the digital landscape. Outside the office, the world moves quickly. New technologies emerge, old systems are retired, and the landscape of threats shifts and evolves. Yet, for all the pressure and responsibility, there are moments of quiet reflection. There is a contrast here between the high stakes and the quiet routine, between the immense responsibility and the gentle rhythms of daily life. Imagine yourself in their shoes, feeling the weight of responsibility, but also the quiet satisfaction of a job well done. As you let your mind wander, you realize that the story of cybersecurity is not one of drama or excitement. And as the night deepens and the world outside grows still, you find comfort in the knowledge that somewhere, someone is watching over the digital world, tending to the details, and keeping the systems running smoothly. And now, as our journey through the quietly intricate world of cybersecurity draws to a close, let yourself settle even deeper into comfort. The stories of sysadmins, programmers, and security chiefs gently fade into the background, like the soft hum of a server room at midnight. You've drifted alongside Robert Tappan Morris, whose gentle curiosity and a single subtle error sent ripples through the early internet, not with a bang, but with a whisper. You've watched the world hold its breath at the turn of the millennium, as thousands of unsung heroes patiently combed through code, ensuring that the dawn of the year 2000 would arrive with little more than a gentle sigh, but subtle, hidden in a misplaced comma, a forgotten date, a line of code written late at night. And the greatest victories are not celebrated with fanfare. but with a gentle sense of relief, a quiet pride in a job well done. And you've glimpsed the modern guardians of the digital age, whose days are filled with calm routines, and whose nights are spent quietly watching over the world's invisible infrastructure. Tonight, you've wandered through the softly lit offices of the 1990s, where every keystroke mattered and every line of code was a quiet act of vigilance, and the quiet heroism of those who work in the shadows, tending to the fragile connections that bind our world. Through it all, a single thread weaves these stories together: the power of small details, the comfort of repetition as you rest. Remember that the greatest threats to our digital lives are often not dramatic or obvious. Let your mind drift now, comforted by the knowledge that somewhere, someone is watching over the details, keeping the world running smoothly, one careful keystroke at a time. The servers hum softly, the monitors glow gently, and the night stretches on peaceful, secure, and calm. Thank you for joining me on this gentle journey through the most boring yet quietly profound hack in history. May your dreams be as calm and steady as the hands that keep the digital world safe. Good night.